Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie Beasley, and I'm here with my husband, Jim Beasley, and it is Sunday. We are actually sitting down Sunday morning, or actually right before lunch on Sunday instead of Sunday evening, because we have a lot of stuff going on next week. As we've told our listeners, our daughter is getting married Friday of this coming week, and so I'm running around a little bit crazy.
Forcing me to do dance classes.
Yes, had a dance lesson because you have to do the father-daughter dance at the wedding.
I
So
have no rhythm.
I'm driving him a little bit crazy about that. So anyway, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence, of course, what we always do, but today we're going to do something just a little different. We are actually going to really not do what we normally do.
We normally try to stay positive.
We do. We try to stay positive. We try to do, artificial intelligence has a lot of great things it can do, and it does have a lot of great things and a lot of great capabilities. But we are actually going to spend the next 25 minutes talking about the dark side.
And the reason that I wanted to do this was because, everything connects to me, and this connects back to education. I think, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I think there's too much willingness to ignore the value that education, when in public education, obviously where we're at, being one of those, to ignore how it's important it is that people be educated on this technology. The problem is it's moving so fast that people are just kind of waiting and seeing what happens and just kind of enjoying the toys, but they're not educating the next generation or the people that need to be educated about not just the good, but the bad. They need to understand the ramifications of this technology.
Well, you just made a comment that people are not like being educated. It's not just people as individuals, it's whole groups like the government and the policymakers and the large entities are kind of ignoring a lot of what AI is doing.
All the superintendents, which we're going to talk about in a minute as
So,
well.
all right, let's
So,
go
but
dark.
first, let's start on the dark side where I started, which is on the website salon.com. Don't criticize us if you don't think some of these, I don't know how good some of these websites are or bad. It's really hard to tell sometimes, how credible they are. I try to look that up, but anyway, salon.com, I don't really know anything about it, but I was alarmed when I saw this headline.
Experts alarmed over AI and military as Gaza turns to testing ground for U.S. made war robots.
Now, I don't know if this was taken there, but it shows a picture. You can't see it, obviously, but it shows a picture of one of those
robot dogs.
Robot dogs.
Yeah. I mean, and they're real.
It's even camoed.
Well, I would think it would need to be.
Well, I don't
you got to protect the robot dog.
I don't think it needs to be in Gaza, which is why I wonder where exactly this is. This says German armed forces, so this is probably in Germany. But the idea is the same, that you have this dog that is, it's not whether or not they use them for reconnaissance, like drones and things like that. It's when you start allowing an AI
to make
decisions about life or death. That's when it bothers me a lot. I have no issue. I mean, drones fly over all that stuff, but even drones, I don't want drones firing missiles at people without people making the decision to do that.
Right.
If you're going to take someone's life or decide that you should, I really think there ought to be a human involved.
Let's go to that show that we've been rewatching, Person of Interest.
Person of Interest, I know.
We're rewatching that, and it's getting a little too close to home.
It's getting so close to home. It's like, I don't know if I want to finish the last season and a half we have left.
It was like 2014 or something like that.
I think it ended in 2015.
2015, yeah.
Before large language models came into the public and all that other stuff. And it's so eerie, some of the stuff that they talk about.
Is what we're hearing in the news.
One of the things they said recently that I thought was an interesting way of putting it, which I've heard again since then, but I hadn't heard it, because I didn't watch that show originally. But he said AI doesn't have feelings; it has objectives.
Okay.
And that's the concern I have when you start talking about using it for military. It doesn't have a feeling. I mean, one of the examples someone gave in an article I read about that is if you told an AI that you needed a cup of coffee and you needed it like really quick because you're in a hurry, you've got to get to work. An AI doesn't know that it's not okay to go kill everybody in the coffee shop that's in line in front of you to get to the front of the line to get your coffee in 5 minutes. It has an objective, which is to get you coffee in 5 minutes.
It's going to get there however it can.
And it doesn't know necessarily that you can't do that.
Right.
So when you start talking about AI making kill decisions, what is it willing to sacrifice in order to get its objective?
So I wonder what they are doing with these I mean, does it say in the article what they're actually doing with this?
They don't, it's kind of vague. They talk a lot in there, they talk around the idea that they're using it for reconnaissance and that humans are involved and they've got, directives about autonomous things. But they had an exception in here that I saw that I didn't like. The policy has several shortcomings, including the required senior review of autonomous weapon development and deployment can be waived in case of urgent military need.
Wow.
Now, who defines urgent military need?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it too much longer, but this is really why people need to be educated about what AI is capable of, because there are dark sides and you need to understand them so you can make intelligent decisions.
So
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, the next article kind of creeped me out a little bit. I mean,
Should.
Okay, we're saying dark side here, and this is really, really dark.
This is dark.
There's a man. This was in
July of last year.
I believe it was in People magazine.
It is in People. It's on people.com. Yes.
Okay. So
the headline, read the headline.
Man accused of posting video of woman's murder to Facebook claims his confession and the video of the woman dying was generated by AI.
He murdered a woman in July of 2023.
July of 2023.
Stabbed her multiple times. This is really kind of dark.
It really
Stabbed her multiple times. And then put the video of that
He videoed her dying, like the last breaths and everything.
Don't go too much further.
Videoed her and then posted it to his Facebook account.
And then 6 months later,
he's using AI as a defense.
He didn't say anything about it at the time.
Mm-mm.
Even in his videotape confession and all this other stuff, he didn't say anything. But suddenly he's read about AI now, or his lawyer has, and they went, "Hey, wait a minute, we can throw credible doubt. What is it? Reasonable doubt about the authenticity of it." Now, I don't think they can do that because if the confession was in a police station, they've got a timestamp on it. And those timestamps are really, really hard to fake. They do that on purpose. So maybe that won't. The Facebook thing, Facebook again, they can claim they may not. They can't necessarily tell you if it's AI generated, even though I think they probably could. But at least they can tell you when it was posted.
Right.
And
it might
AI
be
generating
before the generating tools were really
generating tools are just now getting to good enough where he could legitimately maybe throw that down in there. But the fact that he's attempting that to me it forebodes things to come. It's like a bad sign, and it's a very dark one of a bad sign. I have some ideas about how we could fix this problem.
Okay.
We won't go into that right now.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Now, this
one bothers me. We've talked about it before.
Yes. We actually went over part of this article, or quite a bit of this article, last Sunday when we talked about a new survey that was out there about how superintendents of school systems are saying that AI, artificial intelligence, is really low on their priority list.
Well, this is what I did when I messed up your presentation for the TCEA a week before we were going to give it.
Yes.
I brought the article in and I said, we need to focus on this because this is what people care about.
Well, and the article that I'd written about teachers being up to their whats and alligators has a lot to do with what he says. I mean, they're so focused on what's right in front of them, which is getting kids to come to school. We've got the chronic absenteeism going on. We've got the disruptive behaviors. 77% of the superintendents say this is a primary focus. Yep. You're a teacher in a classroom with 25, 30 kids, and you have disruptive students. You're not going to get any teaching done. So what are you going to do about those disruptive kids?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this was the discussion I was having with Amy yesterday when I was talking about using video to pipe in people into the classroom.
Right, your experts.
Shortages, the experts. Her comment was, what do you do about disruptive students? Because you're knowing that student and having a personal connection with them is part of how you manage that disruptive behavior.
I agree with Amy on this because if I am not supervised by somebody that can say, like I used to do this all the time when I was an elementary teacher, I would say, okay, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to video what you're doing right now. And let's see what your mom's going to say when I show her this video. And so it was that.
Even though you never did it,
it was that I knew the parent, I knew the kid, I knew the older sibling, and so it gave me that connection to where I could, okay, I'm going to say it, I could guilt them or bribe them into doing what I needed them to do so I could teach my class.
So anyway, moving on. This is the one that we're focusing on today, the next one.
the mental health, which is huge for me
Which I
as a
guess
counselor.
disruptive behavior and mental health
It,
can go
it,
hand in hand, right?
okay, when I look at this, it all goes back to mental health.
Except staffing shortages.
No,
Well, it's the shortage
the
staffing's mental
staff
health.
mental health is just as
Fair enough.
important.
Fair enough. Okay, continue.
It all goes back to that worsening student mental health. We're 76 with 77% of the superintendents blaming social media, but 76% of them say that we have a huge challenge with student mental health.
You know, it's funny because Atlanta ISD, we they hired a mental health person, which we had never done before, kind of a counselor for
And
the district.
overall, mm-hmm.
And I remember when they hired her, there was many people that was like, "Why are we
Why?
doing this? Because we've never had it before. Why do we need it now?" And it's always that old argument. We did fine before. Why does it matter, right?
Right.
Well, since then, I don't think anyone's argued
No.
about the value.
No, her
and they've actually added people. They've got interns and
Yes.
stuff like that. And I think that I think her job is very frustrating because sometimes when I see her in the day, she looks a little frazzled.
Well, she sees the worst of the
But
worst.
I think she spends as much time with teachers' mental health, to your
I saw her in the hallway the other day, and I was like, "Hey, can I get a hug?" And so yes, she does.
Anyway, so we're talking about mental health. We're talking about all the. So as you said, everything.
How does that tie into AI? How does that tie into AI?
Okay, we're getting. Well, it's back to what I said earlier about education. AI is about to have some impact on mental health. Let's get the first headline up here, and we can talk about that. What is the headline? It is from NBCnews.com.
Beverly Hills Middle School expels 5 students after deep fake nude photos incident. Okay, these kids are 8th graders. And they are accused of using generative AI to create fake images of 16 of their classmates.
16 classmates. Now, if you read all the AIs, if you look at Dolly and you look at Midjourney, they all say we have guardrails that prevent this from happening, which they do. The question is, where did these middle schoolers find? Now, I know there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of AIs out there that don't have guardrails. But using them is not as easy as using Dolly or Midjourney or Google, images, all that other stuff. So these kids are getting some level. They already have some level of technology sophistication because they know how to use a non-standard AI.
They're the haves. They're the ones
that
are not
Beverly
suffering
Hills.
From the digital divide.
Yeah, they're not at home working on the school's Chromebook as their only thing,
right?
Or on their cell phone.
Right. They probably have the technology. Scroll down just a little bit, because one of the things that really interested me in this is that the incident has now they're in the 8th grade. They targeted 16 kids.
The 5 students were in the 8th grade and their victims were in the 8th grade. 16
kids were targeted. The superintendent sent out, of course, an email to the district community or whatever. But he says basically that it has spurred critical discussions on the ethical use of technology, including AI, underscoring the importance of vigilant and informed engagement with digital environments.
Which, if you go back to our other thing we were just talking about, what does that headline say? AI low priority.
Right.
That priority is going to change whether they like it or not.
It has to change. But what got me here was the informed, because one of the things that we have seen over and over again when we've kind of popped into other AI education seminars is the information isn't necessarily the correct information.
Yeah, people tend to do a lightweight Google before they do a presentation, and then they grab all these headlines, sort of like we're doing now, and they skim these articles instead of trying to get some depth of understanding of these things. And then they put together a presentation and they sell it to a school district as their education on AI. It's not adequate. Not to us. Not by our standards, it's not adequate. We think that if you're going to do this, first of all, you need to talk about the dark sides and not, but you also need to talk about what is it really? How can it be used? How is it being used? How is it going to be used? To do that, you have to have better understanding of AI.
You need to have an engineer. You need to have an engineer.
You got to have
your
engineer on. Am I on payroll?
No, actually.
Wow. I didn't realize I was getting paid for this. That's
I
cool.
made your dinner. There you go. That's
all right.
pay.
So next headline.
Same thing.
Well, this one is from CBS News.
Yes.
The last one was NBC.
In Miami.
Now, this one is
Oh, this one's in New Jersey.
Yeah, this one happened in early February.
Well, the
Well,
teenager gets involved in this one. The teen is actually suing the classmate for allegedly creating and sharing fake AI nude photos.
yes.
So basically, the teenager is like, okay, if the school is or is not, I don't know if they're doing anything about it, but even if they are, they're saying, I don't care what the school's doing about it. I'm suing them because the mental
And
health and all the issues that this is probably causing.
again, let's talk about mental health, but let's talk about what the most likely scenario is. So read this part right here.
A male classmate
Male
used
classmate used.
an AI application or website to alter photos of a 15-year-old who is identified only as Jane Doe
So
because she's a
15-year-old
minor.
girl.
Mm-hmm. She's a minor. She's at West at a high school, and then
I
the
mean,
lawsuit basically says the photos were initially shared on Instagram.
so again, we're talking about a male with some level of sophistication because they're 15 years old, that age group. They had pictures of a 15-year-old, which the whole discussions about social media come into play now because that's probably where they got the pictures from. Or it's very likely because people post all these pictures of themselves, even at 15 and 14 and 12 on social media. You
Mm-hmm.
take those pictures, and this person, from what I had read about this classmate didn't really think it was that big of a deal.
No,
That's that
it was
education
actually,
piece.
they had taken images off of Instagram and they made it to where one of the girls that was in the photo, they digitally removed the clothing. So let's step back for 1 second from a counseling standpoint. And this is going to sound horrible, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I have a female that I could take, and this has always been a problem because you could take just a body of somebody else and,
Swap
and
heads.
swap the heads and
People have
things
been doing
like
that for
that.
a long time.
But now I can actually make it more into even a video.
Well, let's not get to videos yet. Let's just talk about what we're talking about right now is the ability to easily, before what you talked about, to make it look real,
Yeah.
took some level of
Oh,
sophistication.
it did.
That's the key. The sophistication level requirements are going down, which means
Right.
it looks more real, takes less expertise, but it's easy to do. And so now they can take a girl's picture and they
And
can remove her clothing, they can put her in,
and then
whatever.
let's say they're going to make that nude be something that is an embarrassment, or they're doing something that is an embarrassment more
Yeah.
so than just a nude photo.
Yeah,
That they could take it so much further. Let's go back to the mental health of that.
Okay.
The mental health of that is going to be horrible.
That's
But
what I'm
what's
concerned
going to
about.
happen?
It's back to what is it? What is the mental health of this 15-year-old girl? We all know that there's been revenge porn and all that stuff for a long time, and maybe they were even real pictures back or real videos of a girl. There's
Mhm.
been girls and boys committed suicide, and all the scammers. Now we're talking about a 15-year-old boy and a classmate. We can educate them. We can do digital media literacy, which this is why I'm back to the superintendents need to put this as a higher priority because we need that literacy. We need them to talk about it. But what happens, which has already happened, when some scammer decides they're going to do something where they're going to take a picture and they're going to do that and they're going to send it to the kid because they've done it and they're going to say, if you don't pay me money or send me more photos, I'm going to post this so all your friends can see it.
Or meet me somewhere.
Or meet me some. Those kind of things are what I worry about more, as much as I worry about whether or not the classmates are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the classmates, I'm hoping, have some level of empathy, even to where they don't do the worst possible thing.
Like the bullying.
But these
and everything.
scammers, they have no conscience.
No.
They don't care
No.
as to what they do. So anyway, it worries me a lot when you start talking about stuff like this. So hold on 1 second. I got it.
Our dog?
Our dog is in here and she is so loud.
That's okay. They don't mind. Oh, she's going to be upset. Jim is taking the toy and removing it from the room. Now, Sadie girl's going to be not happy because she's not going to get to chew on that loud toy.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. So, moving on.
Well, it happens
The next
also
story
in Florida.
This is New York Post.
Mm-hmm.
And read the headline on this one, too.
Florida teen suspended for spreading AI-generated nudes of classmates.
This one happened in December. or it's when this article came out. So all of this was happening at the end of last year, mostly. One of them was in February, the rest of them. So two students were suspended from a Miami high school last week for creating and spreading AI generated nude images.
I don't think it was a high school. I actually think that they misspoke on that because
Yeah,
when
I
you
think
look
so
up, I
too.
really think it was a junior high
I,
school,
I think it was a middle school.
which, let's face it, I was a junior high teacher for 7 or 8 years, and that is the period of time that everybody gets interested in all the
But
things.
as Rachel used to tell us, our daughter, their brain hasn't developed that part of
That impulse
the male
control,
brain for the
yeah.
impulse
Hmm.
control. So you have a tool that allows them to do things, nudity kind of things,
And hormones that are
and you have
telling them it's
hormones that are telling
okay.
them it's okay, and a brain that's not quite ready. So I think that this one, again, very worrisome. They're talking about a girl that it happened to, and we're talking about mental health. So how do we describe this girl right here?
She's been crying, the parent said. She hasn't been eating. She's just been mentally unstable. She does cheer, and she didn't even want to come to school to do it.
That's that mental health thing. The offending students were suspended for 10 days. 10 days. That's what they got.
Yeah, some of the parents want them booted
And
permanently.
this could affect this girl's, it will affect this girl's
Yes.
life forever. I mean, this is a permanent thing
Hmm.
that she has to deal with because first of all, these pictures will keep popping up over and over.
Everywhere.
But second of all, she doesn't have the capability. I was talking to a teacher about this the other day, the capability to process or deal with this.
Right.
This teacher was concerned about some stuff that was being sent to her via email, which is not uncommon nowadays. People send you these threatening things that says, I've got a video of you because I got into your computer and put something on there and I can see
I
you on your
accessed your
webcam
camera.
and
Yeah.
I can see, and so you have to send me money or a picture or whatever. But again, adults have the ability to understand
Adults tend
the
to put,
consequences.
well, as a counselor, we call it putting it in a bucket. An adult can take a situation and they can literally, take it and place it in a bucket and like say, okay, this doesn't affect over here. It just affects this one area. And so they have a better capability of classifying their emotions, of classifying what happened, and like not letting it overflow into all areas of their life. Whereas a kid can't do that.
Yeah, I'm mental health. This is very dark. I don't like doing these as much. It's so dark. All right, so here we go.
Oh, and now we're talking
Now we're
about
talking about
video.
CTV News. I don't know where this one comes from, but anyway,
But it's a very prominent. It's a Canadian news channel. Taylor Swift.
it's not just Taylor Swift.
AI generated porn is targeting women and kids all over the world.
So this article is more general. I think as people, we tend to dismiss this as a famous person problem a lot. That's why I brought this article into it. It happens to Taylor Swift, or it happened. I think the first one was Emma Watson, the
Yes,
Harry
Potter.
I think she was one of the first ones that people did that stuff to, and people go, "Oh well, they're famous; they should expect things like that."
Well,
But first of all, I don't think that's fair to say, and it doesn't. Again, when you take a tool, when it happened to Emma Watson, it was a long time ago. The level of sophistication required to do it was fairly high.
mm-hmm.
So the pictures or the images and the videos, they weren't very good.
Right.
So people knew it was a fake.
Well, and here you talk about some high school students across the world, from New Jersey to Spain.
We talked about New Jersey.
Not
yeah.
even just a U.S. problem.
Yes.
Have reported their faces were manipulated by AI and shared online by classmates. Meanwhile, a well-known young female Twitch streamer discovered her likeness was being used in fake, explicit pornographic video that spread quickly throughout the gaming community.
Well, it was another gamer, I think, that did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was another gamer, a male gamer, that had used some stuff from her Twitch streaming to do that.
Yeah. So
I think this is what I was talking about. It's not
just celebrities targeted.
There's a professor at the University of Virginia School of Law that was saying it's everyday people. It's nurses, it's law students, it's teachers, it's journalists. I think teachers are legitimately worried about it because think what it does in some careers. If it may not affect you in your career, but if you're a school teacher and those pictures it's going to affect you. It could get you fired, or at a minimum, it could get people to treat you differently.
Yeah. And they're saying that one of the reasons that, even people are talking about it on a national level is because it finally did happen. It's been happening to, normal everyday
Well,
people.
we just had 3
And,
headlines for
and
middle school
when it
kids.
actually did happen to Taylor Swift, everyone was like, wait a second. And because that kind of like brought it out of nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, victims of crimes don't want to talk about it. And so the girls who those images were put in the high school or the
They
junior
want to
high,
forget it.
they want to forget it. They just want it to go away. That's all they care about. They just want it to go away. And then when it happened to Taylor Swift, and
252
she
million
said
followers.
something, and the people who follow her were like, wait a second, that's not cool. All of a sudden, the people who wanted it to go away, those girls were like, they're right. That's not cool.
It's not
And therefore,
okay.
I'm going to say something.
So back to our headline that we started with. It
Mental
needs
health.
to stop being low on the priority of educators. The last one I put was, and this is not the same caliber, but at the same time, it kind of is. I mean, what if you're this headline? This is from Engadget.com. AI Marilyn Monroe adds to the list of dead celebrities digitally resurrected without consent. You know, the person's no longer with us. Does it matter? But it
But
does. I
the
mean, what if,
family
not only that, but what if that person spent their whole life trying to live
up
properly,
to
to
something.
leave a good impression on the
Right.
world as to who they are and their character? Now, not everybody does, so maybe some people don't care, but these people, they lived their life a certain way, and for you to take that away from them, it's
Mm-hmm.
just wrong. And what's sad is that people are buying up their digital likeness, um, and they're selling it. They own the likeness of people that aren't around. The uh, Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, was slamming that recently, where somebody was doing a recreation of Robin Williams, which again I think is wrong. And I think it's wrong because I don't think that we have a person here. There's ABG owns the rights to Monroe's likeness because it's about Marilyn Monroe, and those of numerous other celebrities, both dead and living, including Elvis Presley, Shaq.
Wow.
Shaq can defend himself, but Elvis can't. Marilyn
Right.
Monroe can't. And Marilyn Monroe, I mean, in her case, she didn't have any kids, but Elvis did, and
Well, and they're not just doing their likeness; they're doing the videos. Basically,
they're bringing them back to
they're
life.
bringing them back to life, and like they're able to hold conversations. These
Yes,
AIs are able to hold conversations.
yes, with a dead person. And I guess
Wow.
as long as there's some guardrails or they keep it clean, maybe, but they could put these people in a porn movie, which
Yeah.
is what you mentioned earlier, and I said I want to come back to that. We're just talking about images right now. I mean, you did a video yourself where you were talking in multiple languages, and it
Mhm.
was you. I mean, the
And my
first
mouth
your
was
mouth was
changing
changing
based
correctly,
on
your
the
your facial
pronunciation.
expressions,
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
So we're talking about video getting better and better as well, to where now, how bad is it going to be? Like you were saying earlier, for that 16-year-old who nude images are one thing, but now she's in a porn video.
Hmm.
That's sick.
Yeah, we have to educate, and we have to educate on appropriate and factual information.
Yeah, you can't block that. The first reaction people are going to have is we need to block all
We were
this.
just in a meeting the other day with several superintendents, or CTOs, I should say, technology
And one of them
officers.
said,
And the first thing one of them said was, well, I've got that blocked.
"Yeah, you
And I'm
do.
like, oh, no, you don't have that blocked.
You have one or two sites blocked, but you don't have it all blocked."
Not
And
just that, but what irritated me the most is you have it blocked for the kids who come to school. You don't have it blocked for that kid who's sitting in their mansion
in
in
Beverly
Beverly
Hills,
Hills
with
producing.
fiber access at home,
Yes.
with their own language model running on their own system if they want it
And
to.
producing videos and nudes of women or children
Yes,
that are in school.
that is
So
correct.
you don't have it blocked.
So education, we're about to run out of
Yes,
time,
we
but
are.
education is important. All right, enough of the dark side.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
I I think that we need to stop focusing just on identifying something as AI generated, and we need to start focusing on identifying it as human generated.
Mm. From the cow to the hamburger.
Yes, digital lineage. You make fun of me for it, but digital lineage is going to be a big thing. I'm telling you.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we are out of time for this
And by the
Sunday.
way, I the dog gets its bone back. So don't
Yes, go
start
get the
telling.
toy. She's sitting there looking at it real
She's got a
sad.
different toy now. She's
Uh,
okay. I didn't traumatize the dog.
we hope you guys have a great Sunday and a marvelous week ahead.